Today, I want to walk you through what we are doing at Omnis with Agentic AI and P&C claims. So let me give you a little bit of a disclaimer who we are. So we do already exist for 10 years, and we are quite proud that we are already automating nearly 1 million P&C claims on an annual basis. In there, we've spent quite a lot of time and energy training our own models, teaching models how to determine damages, identifying liabilities, and settling cases end to end. And what I'm particularly proud of today is I want to walk you through what this usually means. So most of the carriers, it looks a little bit like this. About 80% of the claims is the daily routine. That's a standard case, low, medium complexity. And we are already automating about half of that completely straightforward process for carriers. Usually that's in the range of $5,000 to $10,000. So we are allowed to settle this end to end. So we are only straightforward processing the happy path. So when everything is fire and settled and co, each time there is like a indication like a partial settlement or rejection or some concerns, we are already providing recommendation to claim handlers directly in the core system. Today I want to walk you through something new. So we designed an agent in order to help an adjuster as a co-pilot, giving them a second opinion, because one area that we didn't tackle yet is the higher complexity cases. These are usually not the ones that you would directly straight for process, $15,000, $50,000, $70,000 kind of dollars. You want to have peace of mind in order to settle them, and we are optimizing. And in there, we decided to build an agent which is acting as a co-pilot, directly embedded in the core insurance system, so that you have the peace of mind before you settle and wire the money, that you are having a similar opinion just as an agent that assisted you alongside the journey. So let me actually show you how this looks in reality. So what I brought along is, this is an overview of our agent. I'm going to select a case, which is then directly being pulled from the core insurance system. And what you see here on the right-hand side is actually what the adjuster is engaging on a regular basis. So think of it, on the left-hand side is your guide wire, your SAP, your Duck Creek, your Sapiens & Co. And on the right-hand side, you have the analysis of an ongoing claim together with the actual underlying policy and products. So over here, you're seeing the agent is automatically pulling a list of damages, determines what is it all about, wildlife damages, accident with a deer, I think. I kind of get an automatic summary, what this is all about. I can even look at it and get a little bit of an overview, what exactly happened. So Porsche Macan, so a little bit more expensive. Damage with directly hit with a deer. I kind of get an understanding of the coverages here. So what are the coverages of this particular incident and of this particular party? We train the agent in order to kind of forest through products and terms and conditions and policies in order to gather all the relevant conditions, show it to the claim handler, and decide whether or not it's actually insured. So a little bit like an in-depth check. I will also show later a more complex case so you can understand it a little bit more. So the second last part is actually what do we recommend as a settlement in this particular case. So we are understanding the damages, we are determining the deductibles according to the policy, and last but not least, the claim adjuster kind of gets a summary of why we are coming to this particular conclusion. So you have the peace of mind each time before you actually solve a claim and close it, that you have a second opinion at hand. This is particularly interesting because you might have quite a lot of accidental leakage when you're tackling higher complexity cases. So in this overview, you're able to see and understand what the case is all about. The adjuster gets all the proofs and gets the final recommendation, can decide to follow through. So yes, I agree, we can approve a settle, can override it, can continue in the core system, and as a final conclusion, directly save it back into the system of record, usually like a core system as such. Let me actually show you this on a much, much more complex case, because in the end, like $5,000, $6,000 is a standard case. That's not the, oh wow, this is hard and complicated. This is the daily bread and butter business. In here, we are having a contamination. So this is a marine claim. There's like a product contamination, which is actually much more severe. So I kind of understand what is it all about. I kind of get proof points. What is kind of the damage? Where is it? What's all about it? And very often in higher complexity cases, the policies and all the terms and conditions are actually one-off. So this means the actual policy wording matters. You have to go through hundreds of pages of content in order to say, I don't know, potatoes in a container, when they get shipped, they are insured. Potatoes outside of a container are no longer insured if they are being shipped as part of an incident. What you're seeing here is a larger overview in which we are directly understanding the policy. We are segmenting it down to all the relevant clauses and conditions that are applicable to this case. We are showing it to the claims handler. So in this case, there's a liability coverage, property damage, in particular, because we're having a product contamination. Here is an exclusion for defective product. So this is directly applicable. And what you're also seeing, we are understanding whether or not something might be insured in this particular case, guiding the claim handlers step by step through it, what they should look at, what is relevant. You actually always get the source, so you get kind of the proofs why we are coming to decisions. So you're seeing, okay, this is a part of the clause, the bodily injury, the defective product clauses, and so on. So as a claim handler, without looking that deep into the details, you're always having the actual proof points. When I now look into what's the final recommendation, because in the end, before you're settling the case, you want to understand what is it all about. Same thing here. We are going ahead. We are determining what's your share, what's the limit loss liability. And last but not least, you get a final recommendation on a settlement, which hopefully matches the adjuster's decision at this moment in time. Whenever there's a deviation, you have the means and the possibility to override. So the overall objective is that you can decide with confidence and have the peace of mind that you come to the same conclusion in particular cases. You get a very detailed reasoning. I'm also going to show you as soon as the agent is done. So in this particular case, we are recommending no payout because one part, there's additional proof points needed. The way the circumstances actually didn't happen. So in this case, our agent would recommend, compared to the claim adjuster, not to pursue because there's by far not enough proof points to tackle actually a $200,000 case. And if I go a little bit deeper, I actually get quite a lot of reviews and explanations that the adjuster has as a reasoning and a justification why they pursue or why an agent gives a second opinion that particular way. So this means, just to give you a little bit of a real-world example, this process that we just saw is somewhere in the 60 to 120 minutes in order to settle a case end-to-end. So here you have within minutes peace of mind that you are coming to a good conclusion that is helpful, that is meaningful, preventing errors, and helping carriers to really move the needle when it comes to complex cases.